Hi, everyone. Have you ever felt this unseen weight, maybe in your home or just in your relationships? It's this quiet tension that's just there. Well, today we're going to talk about that very weight. We're going to look at these patterns that have been passed down through generations and just reflect on them together. And really, this quote is the heart of our entire conversation today. Think about it. We often repeat what we never questioned. So many of our actions, our beliefs, they're not really our own, are they? We saw them, we absorbed them from our families, from society, and we just kept the cycle going, without ever stopping to ask, wait, why do we do this? So let's talk about that feeling. Have you ever just felt that strange tension in the air? That anxiety? A kind of hurt that you can't quite put your finger on, but you know it's there all the time. It's like what someone will call Sarah feels, this constant sense of unease, but you can't figure out where it's coming from. It really is this feeling of constant anxiety, a hurt that's so hard to name. It's a weight you can't see, but you can always feel it. And this feeling, it just hangs over us. It gets into our hearts, our minds, and it really starts to impact our most important relationships. So the big question is, where does this feeling, this invisible weight, actually come from? Well, it's not about one person's actions. It's not about pointing fingers. It comes from a whole system that's built all around us, a system we call patriarchy. So what is patriarchy? It's basically a social system where power, authority, and even expectations are shaped primarily around men. And here's the thing, it affects everyone. It doesn't just limit women. It also puts this immense pressure on men, the pressure to always be strong, to never show emotion. This isn't about someone's personal fault. It's the very structure of the society we all live in. And you see this system play out in little ways every single day. For example, a mother we'll call Fatima notices her sons are raised with completely different rules and freedoms than her daughter. Or think about the unspoken expectation that women are the ones who have to manage the entire household. Or how, in a conversation, a man's opinion just automatically carries more weight. We praise boys for being aggressive, for being tough, but we tell our girls to just be nice. Okay, so that's the external system, the world around us. But the really deep impact of the system, that happens inside of us. It becomes this little voice in our heads. And that voice has a name: misogyny. Misogyny is basically the ingrained prejudice against women that grows out of a patriarchal system. It gets so deep inside us that we start to dismiss what women have to say, we judge them, we might even feel contempt for them. And the scariest part? A lot of the time, we don't even realize we're doing it. So let's break down what this actually looks like in practice. First, there's assuming negative intent. Think of a guy like Ali, who just assumes his partner Myra has bad motives with zero evidence. Then there's dismissing her intellect, right? Trivializing her thoughts, acting like she isn't capable of a serious discussion. And finally, emotional invalidation. This is a big one. Labeling her totally valid feelings as just drama or manipulation, which is exactly what Ali did when Myra was upset. And this is a really important point. We have to understand that this stuff happens unconsciously. It's a cycle that we are all a part of, men and women. And it's not driven by bad intentions. It's driven by our conditioning, by what we've been taught to believe is normal. I really want to emphasize this. The harm is almost never intentional. These are behaviors we've learned from the world around us and just adopted without a second thought. It's a cycle that we are all born into. Think about a mother telling her daughter, just stay quiet, for the sake of peace in the house. Now, she's not saying that out of malice. She's saying it from a place of her own conditioning, her own experiences. She's teaching her daughter a survival strategy that she herself had to learn. So how does this unconscious cycle actually work? Well, first, we inherit these unquestioned beliefs about gender roles. Then, those beliefs start to shape our expectations and our behavior. After that, we pass those exact same expectations onto our children. And just like that, the system reinforces itself over and over without us even realizing what's happening. So what's the first step to breaking this cycle? It's not about fighting. It's not about blaming anyone. It's simply awareness, just becoming aware, starting to understand what's really going on inside our own minds. This is where we can start to find a new path forward. It's about making a conscious shift. So instead of jumping to judgment, we can choose curiosity. Instead of trying to control, we can choose to care. Instead of making an assumption, we can just ask. And instead of having a knee-jerk reaction, we can pause and choose reflection. You see, real change doesn't start by fighting the world outside. It begins by questioning our own inner world. The moment we start to get curious about our own thoughts and our own automatic behaviors, that's when the real transformation begins. So to close out, I want to leave you with a few questions to just sit with. The first one is this: when do I, unknowingly, silence someone else's voice? And then ask yourself, do I confuse care with control? Is what I call caring actually just my need to be in charge? This next one is a really deep one. Have I mistaken dominance for strength? Have I confused being the loudest person in the room with being the strongest? And finally, a question I really hope you'll take with you. What would true equality actually feel like? In my home, in my workplace? What would that be like? Just take a moment to imagine it. Because when we can start to imagine a better reality, that's the very first step toward making it real.